Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah wa barakatuh. This world has become a difficult place for good people to reside in. Everybody is pushing and pulling. Everybody is at a high state of emotion. Everybody is trying to convince you of their point of view and drag you into their point of view. It's very difficult to be quiet, good, and alone. There's no room for contemplation. There's no room for serenity. Your neighbors and the ones that you know, they won't let you find serenity. Your religion won't let you find serenity. Your own mental illusions won't let you find serenity. Your arrogance, your karma, your maya won't let you find serenity. Nothing leaves you at peace. So many people turn and say, when will God come? When will it be that God will come to save me from all of this? When will he come? When will he appear in my life? Trees give blossom to buds, and the buds give blossom to flowers, and the flowers produce fruit or flowers and fragrance. If the bud is late and doesn't come, the tree doesn't complain. The tree continues to do what the tree does. It provides water to its branches, and it waits until the buds blossom and come forth. We have to cleanse our heart. We have to create a pure space within ourselves. God is truth, and God is reality, and his truth is without form, and his reality is without form. And we cannot see this, but we can create a space for it within ourselves. God is constant. He's always the same. And if we can create a safe, clean place within ourselves, God will reside there. And how will you see God? God will be seen in the actions and the demeanor and the countenance of his adherents. So you'll be able to see God in man when man brings about the actions of God. And when God resides within man, the actions of God will come out in man, and it will bring peace to everyone around him. It will bring peace to all of those who come into contact with him. On the Sufi path, there is the cornerstone of the teacher. And the teacher is one who has created that pure part in his heart where Allah can reside. And when that occurs, the influence that comes from that space, the influence that comes from that heart, the influence that comes from that being, beckons people to come to it. And when people come to it, And when people see it, there is a cognition that something is going on that is other than ordinary. As we walk through this world, as we meet people of various religions, of various races, of various colors, very seldom do we meet someone who is emanating kindness, who is emanating love, who is emanating God's qualities, and who is emanating them in such a high decibel that it is easily cognizant by those who pass it by. And anyone who has empathy understands that and is attracted to that and falls in love with that. And when that love relationship occurs between the sheikh and the one who has recognized the godliness within the sheikh, when that occurs, then a union is set up where there is a transference of qualities. One of the great gifts that the sheikh has is his ability to give to others that which he has gathered over the years unto himself, and that which makes him a repository for God to reside in. So that nature that he has become, that essence that he has become, that purity that he has become, he shares openly and willingly with all who come into his presence. And when that essence is shared, there's no longer talk about my religion, your religion. There's no longer talk about me and you. There's no longer talk about my race and your race. There's no longer talk about my nationality and your nationality. There's no longer talk about my language and your language. We are now down to the transcendent essence of truth and reality. And we've reached that place of contentment and serenity that can only exist when we are cognizant of God's presence within our lives. Maybe not yet within us, but very close to us, close enough to us that we've recognized and we have chosen to put ourselves close to that place. We've chosen to put ourselves where we can feel that relationship with God, even if through an intermediary, with the understanding that that relationship will come to us, that cleansing of our own heart will come, that purification of our own heart will come, that place where God resides will come to be within us. In time, this will occur. And we have to develop the qualities of patience and the ability to maintain our qualities while we wait for the unfolding to occur within us. The tree waits for the bud. The tree waits for the flower. We have to wait for our heart to develop. But in the interim, We have to maintain our dignity. In the interim, we have to create a situation around ourselves where we limit that which we allow ourselves to do. If you are building a pond, or if you are trying to maintain a pond, you have to have banks. The banks keep the water within the pond so they don't overflow. Similarly, we have to maintain control over our emotions and our actions. They have to be surrounded somehow, just like the bank holds the water in within the pond. Now, you can't build these banks when it's raining. You can't build this pond, these banks, when the emotions are high. You can't build these banks when there's too much water within the pond. You have to wait for a time of stillness. And so each of us, has to move forward towards finding that stillness. And that stillness is found with the aid of a teacher who will help you respond to your inner turmoil by answering your questions and alleviating what you consider problematic situations by showing you how to become calm, how to become peaceful, and how to allow the growth within you of purification to grow. But there are obstacles. And one of the main obstacles is the mind. One of the main obstacles is blood ties. One of the main obstacles is our birth family. One of the main obstacles is religion. One of the main obstacles is politics. Any group that differentiates itself from other groups becomes an obstacle towards unity. So we have to figure out a way to be in a state of unity as opposed to being in a state of separation. So if we are in my religion, not your religion, if we are in my color, not your color, my caste, not your caste, my language, not your language, my nationality, not your nationality, and we draw distinctions between these, and we judge these distinctions, and we give superiority to these distinctions, then we are in a state of duality as opposed to a state of unity. We are in a state of separateness. And all confusion, all difficulty, all wars, all harshness, all insanity stems from this separateness and this division. So we have to begin to figure out and understand how to overcome the impact on our lives of our religion, the impact on our lives of our blood ties, the impact on our lives of our national birth, religious birth, color birth. We have to learn how to minimize the impact on our lives of our mind, because we are not our mind, and the mind is constantly in a state of creating separation. So we need to establish within ourselves an observer who watches the mind and watches our thought process. And we should become cognizant, once we've established this observer, that we are not those thoughts. And we should become cognizant that those thoughts ramble on and on and on, and they have no ceasing within them. They don't stop, they just continue. And over time, we will no longer be influenced by these thoughts the way that we were before we began to watch them and analyze them. We need to constantly analyze ourselves. And it is in this analyzing that we will find out about the truth of ourselves. So, one who is without this observer, when he gets caught up in differences, gets caught up in the emotion of differences, and gets caught up in the need to react to these differences. And that's what we have going on all over the world now. Egocentric reaction based on people's own particular and peculiar ethnicity, religion, background, and the need for that religion, ethnicity, background to prevail in situations with other people. To get over that is not the way of the world right now, but it has to become our way. And do we have the courage to be at peace when everyone else is at war? Do we have the courage to be within ourselves when everyone else is outside of themselves? Do we have the courage to understand that Allah is the one who's in charge, not man, and that Allah will resolve things, not man? If we watch history, or if we look at history for the last few hundred years, it's a constant over and over reiteration of similar circumstances in various parts of the world that end up in some kind of horrible conflagration where people begin attacking each other over land, over religion, over language, over color, over race, over something. We have to somehow find a way to remove ourselves from this way of being. To do it, while we set up this observer, we must also begin to become cognizant through the teacher of the qualities that belong to God, through the Asmaul Husna, to the 99 names. And we have to begin to bring the names into our being so that observer has the qualities of patience, that observer has the qualities of peace, that observer has the qualities of mercy, that observer has the qualities of compassion and the quality of justice. If you have a biased observer, there is no going forward. You are just recreating a subset of the mind as opposed to a separation from the mind. And we have to understand that. Mind and desire cannot be satisfied. Mind and desire have their place, and their place is to see and want and try to possess. And these are the satanic urges. And the satanic urges, or what seem to drive most of the world. But we have to learn how it is that we are going to separate ourselves from the satanic urges. What is it that we want? What is it that we need? What is it that we identify with? As long as what we identify with is other than unity, we are identifying with separation. So if we identify with the blood that we were born into, then we are opposed to all other blood. But what we don't realize is that the blood that we're born into is the same blood that everyone else has. This world is created of beings who are the children of one mother and father. And somehow this lunacy has occurred that there is separation and that our blood is different, when in fact our blood is the same. And we have to understand that our blood is the same. Bringing ourselves to that state where we are impervious to the influence of the outside world is a very, very difficult thing, because your parents, your school, your nationality, your religion, no matter what your nationality is, what your religion is, tells you there are differences, tells you there are separations, tells you they are more correct than everyone else. Can it be that we all have the same sense of correctness or the same sense of incorrectness, and we all need to refocus towards God? And the proof that we are focused towards God is not war, but in fact is peace. And if war is what's going on, then that's the proof that we as humanity are not focused towards God, but are focused towards something else. Well, right now, the proof seems to be in this world that we are focused towards something else. We are not focused towards God. We are not focused towards truth. And to maintain the present state of being, there's not going to be a change. There has to be some kind of transcendent occurrence. There has to be some kind of separation from the normative way that men act. And we have to wonder, who's going to be the one who does it? Who's going to be the one who starts it? Who's going to be first? Well, let's each of us be first. We don't have to tell anybody. We just have to be. We don't have to show anybody. We just have to be. We don't have to talk about it. We just have to be. We're not here to be shown off. We're here to be. There was a lotus plant on a lake. And this lotus plant was very, very beautiful. But every morning, and for most of the day, there was a huge fog over the lotus plant. And the lotus plant couldn't be seen. And the lotus plant became very upset that its beautiful flower wasn't seen. And it bemoaned this fact. And the fog began to talk to it and said, what is it within you that drives you to be seen? What is it within you that needs this recognition? What is it within you that is lacking within you, that you aren't whole within yourself? You are not here to be seen. You are here to be. And within that being, there should be contentment. Allah cannot be seen. None of us have seen Allah. Allah is without form. Allah is without sound. His sound comes through us. His actions come through us, but he is not seen. He is the stillness that is the point that turns and controls all of the universe. Yet he is not seen. And the whole world conjectures what his religion is. And the whole world conjectures what his intent is. And the whole world conjectures what it is that he wants them to do. And what he wants them to do is to become like him, to become unseen, to become without form, to become without pushing, to become without pulling, to become without anger, to become without arrogance, to become without jealousy, to become without the qualities that are satanic and enter into the nature of the qualities that are divine, all of which have no form, all of which cannot be seen, all of which don't cause harm, all of which bring peace and contentment to all hearts throughout the world, all of which come and bring us into a state of contentment and kindness. Can we make that change? Can we make that turn? Can we become that being? Do we know how to do it? So many of us have gone through a life that has had so many difficulties and so many sadnesses. And we've seen so many difficulties and so many sadnesses. And there exist so many difficulties and so many sadnesses. But it should also be understood that we are not in the past when those sadnesses occur to us. And even if those sadnesses are going on right now, we have to somehow detach from those sadnesses. This life will come to an end. So if we are constantly grieving the end of life and we are tortured by the fact that lives end, we will constantly be tortured. Go to a nursing home if you want to be tortured. Go to a hospital if you want to be tortured. Walk down the hallways of the cancer wards. Walk down the bedrooms of a nursing home and see the struggles that are going on. Soon, relief will come. Now, we have to enter into the state where we allow relief to come. The story of Job is an example of being overwhelmed by disease and pestilence and ill fortune, and yet having absolutely no attachment to any of it. He lost all his wealth. It didn't matter. He had worms on his body. It didn't matter. His one-pointed faith and one-pointed concentration was on God, and it stayed with God. And we must understand that he is the one who helps us. He is the one who can do things on behalf of us. He is the one to whom we have to turn to, because there is no other one to turn to. Yet, we believe that our safety is protected by our government. We believe that our prosperity is protected by our armies. We believe that external forces are what maintain the world. As long as we believe that external forces are what maintain the world, there will be the clashes of external forces within the world. Man is ruled in the way that man believes. So if man believes in external forces, he will get rulers who believe in external forces. If man believes in God, he'll get leaders who believe in God and the power of God. How many leaders can you point to in the world right now who believe in the power of God and in the power of God to resolve the difficulties of this world, and who are looking to God to resolve the difficulties in this world? Or are they looking to force things in the way they think they should be? This world is made up of form. God's kingdom is without form. So what happens? In this world, we begin to believe in form, and we begin to believe in the manipulation of form. And we think, man thinks, that everything can be accomplished through the manipulation of form, through pushing something this way or pulling something that way. Man has lost his faith. Man claims he believes in God, but he doesn't. He believes in power. Man claims he believes in God, but he doesn't. He believes in his munitions. Man claims he believes in God, but he doesn't. He believes in himself and what he can do, and therefore tries to do everything himself. We need to return to the essence of things for our own life. We can't be involved with each and every other life. And what is at the essence of things? Astaghfirullah, which means forgive me, God. With each breath, we should be saying, forgive me, God, for all that I have done. And with the next breath, we will have to say, God, accept me. So forgive me and accept me. And then the third is, I leave it all up to you. Most people want to be forgiven on their terms. They want to be accepted on their terms. We need to understand that the only terms that are relevant are God's terms, and we don't understand God's terms. So with our limited understanding, we have to surrender everything to him and say, forgive me, accept me, and I leave everything up to you. If we can begin to do that within our own life, then he will become a support for us. If we give him the authority over us, then he will assist us in everything that we do, and everything that we attempt will become easier, and everything that we do will go more smoothly, because he is doing it on our behalf, because we have given up our will for his will. So let us understand the true nature of this world as opposed to the apparent nature of this world. Since we were children, we've often been told things are not as they appear. And that's the truth. Things are not as they appear. In the scientific world, they are now talking about this entire quantum world that is right beneath the first level of what our eyes are capable of understanding. And this quantum world is of tiny particles that are spread over millions and millions of miles beyond comprehension of most man. And that's what appears. As we walk down the street, we think we walk down the street, but are we walking down the street, or are we standing on a globe that's spinning around a sun? Are we cognizant of any of these things? Are we cognizant of the reality of our existence? Are we cognizant of what's really going on? We need to relax. We need to become calm. We can't stay involved in the insanity of the world, because all that will happen is we will also become insane. We need some sane people in the world. And who are those sane people going to be? Inshallah, we will become those sane people. God willing, we will see truth in the midst of chaos, and we will be able to act on truth in the midst of chaos. And we won't be whirled and tossed and turned by all of the conflagration that's going on in the world. But our peacefulness will be such that it will spread out and affect others until the whole world is affected by peace. And peace comes to each and every man. May it be so. May our hearts open up so that we can become beacons of this peace, lights of this peace, and become aids to the world. Ameen. Ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.